Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is episode 26, the season 3 finale of Dawnbringers, The Ghosts of Saltmarsh, an episode that I'm entitling White Sails Under Gray Skies. If you remember, the first episode of this season was entitled White Sails Under Blue Skies. So we've come full circle. I find it interesting that this is episode 26 when season 1 had only 10 episodes in it, I think. Did we do 12? I don't remember. And then I think we did 16 in season 2. So we just about did, this season was just about as much episodes as the first 2 seasons combined, which means season 4 should be what, like 50 episodes? We don't have set episode or set season lengths. We play until the story sort of winds itself out. And in this case, the Ghosts of Saltmarsh fully chewed up and spit out the Dawnbringers and said, "We've had enough of you." Though I think the Dawnbringers would say they've had enough of Saltmarsh.
I would say we gave it hella indigestion.
It is interesting to note that at no point did you do the actual job for which you were hired to do 26 sessions ago.
On brand.
And Thorgarn is furious about this. He doesn't want to be here any longer. He wants nothing to do with Saltmarsh, but that is going to needle at him for the centuries of life that he has left.
200 years later, an older Thorgarn shows up to the mines in Saltmarsh. "Just let me watch over you for a couple of weeks." All right. Well, we'll get into what's been going on with the Dawnbringers recently as we do a couple of announcements, and then we'll get into the recap and we'll play some D&D. So real quick, it is very important, this announcement. Wash your hands, practice social distancing. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not responsible for what these players do in their individual isolations. But this time, in this craziness that we live in right now, I am so thankful that we have an established online streaming game so that we are able to continue playing this game and provide escapism for ourselves and our audience. I do want to draw attention to just below M in the lower left-hand corner there, the logos for Jasper's Game Day and Initiative Coffee Company. We are, of course, incredibly proud of being partnered with Jasper's Game Day. We have assembled a team and are earnestly working to bring you an awesome stream week coming up in the first week of May. With so many in-person events being canceled and especially events around in other locations, we are absorbing some of those guests and some of those appearances into the stream. So I can't say anything until it's confirmed, but we are going to have some awesome games, some awesome streams. We've also expanded the stream. Last year it was 5 days, 40 hours. This year it's 5 days, 60 hours, 20 game masters, and over 100 players. And we've already been collecting some amazing donations from some awesome companies in the way of swag to give away during the stream. So stay tuned. Follow me at MTD. I guess it's not there. I'm pointing at it, so my handle's not there. Follow at MTD_Jake. To stay up to date on what's going on with Jasper's Stream Week. But Jasper's Game Day is a organization that is dedicated to raising awareness and elimination of suicide through tabletop gaming. And I think there are a lot of other amazing charity organizations that are going on for relief for various organizations in this current coronavirus COVID thing. But I think it's important to continue, and maybe more so, to draw attention to the importance of mental health awareness and the mission of Jaspers, because so many people, you can struggle, I think, even more in this time of self-isolation. So we need you to know that there are resources out there. You can donate to Jaspers through the link that showed up there. That money goes to benefit suicide crisis centers around the country. You can also buy some Mitzvah roast coffee. Every bag of coffee that you purchase, $3 of that will go to benefit Jaspers. But I also want to just get right into the resources that we have, that we provide for you during all Mini Terrain Domain streams here on the channel. At any time during a Mini Terrain Domain stream, you can type !help, and for some reason it showed up twice, but maybe that's because it really needs to be seen by someone. The following numbers are available to you in the scroll down below, or when you type in that !help, and that is, in the United States, the National Suicide Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or you can text 741-741. If you are a veteran, you can press the number 1 after calling that number and be connected with a veteran specialized counselor. If you are in Canada, you can reach the crisis text line by texting CONNECT for English or PARLEY for French to 686-868, or you can call the Canada Suicide Prevention Services in French or English, toll free at 1-833-456-4566. And if you are among our many friends around the world, you can go to opencounseling.com/suicide-hotlines for a complete listing of these phone numbers and text numbers in countries all around the world. Please do not hesitate to use those resources. I'm noticing as my mouse goes over the stream that the wrong game is up on the D&D Beyond overlay. So I'm going to fix that real quick. Thank you to D&D Beyond for giving us insider access. D&D Beyond powers the Mini Terrain Domain streams. I've got multiple tabs open tonight. So in case you were wondering, Dawnbringers, you're probably going to be rolling dice tonight. So there we go. Let's see. Dawnbringers. Let me just make sure you guys are... Get the campaign actually selected in here. Okay. Not letting me choose it for some reason. Oh, there we go. It's showing up. That's why. Okay. There we go. I think that covered... Nope, there's one other announcement. Jeremy, I think you've got something you would like to share. Something coming up.
Yes. Next Tuesday on my YouTube channel, the Erasmus Expeditions, I am having episode 20 of my Help Action series with my guest and good friend, Ted.
Hey, I will actually be there. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about mechanics in your RPGs. So I'm looking really, really forward to kind of diving into that with Ted. He's got that great mind for thinking mechanically. So looking forward to picking it apart.
Jeremy's Help Action is a wonderful video podcast series over on his channel. I've had the honor of guesting. I believe M has also been a guest on there. Who here hasn't been a guest? So Jeremy can ask
Dan.
you. Just Dan.
Yeah.
We've all been there. He's collecting all the Dawnbringers.
It's true.
So no, it really is a wonderful series, though.
And if you're looking for something tomorrow night,
thank you.
session 6 of the RPG Crate game with V and Jake as players, with yours truly as the GM over on Nerdarchy. So there's a game there too.
Yeah, you'll want to tune in at 8 p.m. over on Nerdarchy YouTube channel for that as well. But in the meantime, we're going to play some D&D right here and right now. So, in the most recent events of the Dawnbringers, following a very dark time after the siege of the city of Saltmarsh, they headed back for respite at their house that was quickly becoming a sort of refugee halfway house, only to find that a mysterious creature known as the Memory Eater had taken up residence and had absorbed the original 12 refugees. Over the course of a couple of days, they managed to successfully locate and defeat this creature at the loss of 3 of the original refugees. In the meantime, some of the refugees have agreed that they were, or had decided that they were going to head into town to seek work. Thorgarn had paid a couple of them to head into town and pick up some supplies for he and Talmud to begin a brewing operation on their travel across the sea. Captain Virgil Stark Dervish had essentially bequeathed temporarily his sailing ship, the Evangeline, to Cantriel, appointing her the new captain of the vessel, so that the Dawnbringers can make their passage across the sea as they head back to Faerun to deal with the rising threat of the vampire Gulthias and whatever awaits them along that thread. They also recently, through the help of a gnomish medium by the name of Madame Thela, they were able to have a sort of seance of sorts in which Cantriel's sentient bow, inhabited by the spirit of her mother, was able to speak with the Dawnbringer, the spirit that inhabits Griveth's new sword, bequeathed by their dragon patron, the Lady Vantage. Through the magic of Madame Thela, they were able to see the images that Dawnbringer projected and learn that Dawnbringer is a bit of a jealous spirit and a bit of a lonely spirit, having spent many centuries lost in the Underdark, alone and afraid. It is now in Griveth's possession, attuned to Griveth. It has learned of the darkness that tainted Griveth's soul briefly for a period of time after Griveth destroyed the Gulthias tree but kept one of its seeds in his possession. The sword accepted that he was in fact cleansed, but would be tentative in fully attuning itself to him. Mechanically, that doesn't mean you don't have any of its benefits, but you do have to deal with the hesitation of the spirit of the sword, known as Dawnbringer. The Dawnbringers are preparing now to set sail and head back across the sea. They have at their disposal the Evangeline, with its first mate in the form of Victor the Spectator, and much of the original crew. They have asked Madame Thela to accompany them as the ship's cook, seeing as the ship's previous cook, Roland, was lost in one of the encounters in the city. we join now as it is in the morning. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and take a long rest. It is the morning of a new day. The tide is low, and the rowboats are moving to and fro through the sea cave under this house, as many of the refugees are helping with the loading of supplies, new supplies, food, water, fresh water, a lot of the things that you would need for a voyage have been procured, so that you will have meats, fruits, fresh water, dry goods, and things like that. Madam Thela oversaw a lot of the food procurement. Thorgarn, if you haven't already, you can add the brewing supplies. And if anybody needed any mundane items that you would have fetched somebody in town to get, please go ahead and do that. Actually, before I forget, I did see that EverJ resubscribed, and you guys, I owe you you folks a domain die. I forgot to talk about those. Look up above my head. You see 129. Those are the domain dice. What they do is explained in the scroll down below. It just happens to be at the beginning of that right now. Or you can type in domain dice, as Jeremy has just done. Thank you. For a $5 tip, 500 bits, subscriptions, resubscriptions, raids, all that good stuff will earn the player's domain dice, where they can re-roll their dice should they need to. All right. So the ship is being loaded, and everybody is helping you to make way for the journey. What are you all doing, Dawnbringers, this morning? Is there any conversations you want to have amongst yourselves? Any of the refugees? Any plans, last-minute plans you want to make? What would you like to do?
Stall.
So I'm doing, or Thorgarn is doing his best to try and, get Talmud's head out of dealing with the voyage. So he's trying to just grill him with, all right, what are we trying to make? I'm the wrong person to talk about alcohol because I don't drink. But he's grilling Talmud about what we're gonna do, what the processes are. I don't know if Talmud has any interest in learning how to brew, but he's going through the process of, this is the steps, this is what we need, what kind of stuff do you want to do, just to get him focused on something that I know he likes. So,
and I think for the most part, it's working. But occasionally, Talmud interjects with something like, "Well, I'm sure that there's probably an ingredient that we can find that would make this just that much better. We just need to stay for a little while until we can find the right thing to add."
As you say that, Madam Thela comes walking by. Oh, don't worry about that. I've made sure that an assortment of hops and barley was brought on board.
Right. Good. Okay. Well, maybe there's a spring nearby where we could go and get very fresh water. The best tasting water you've ever had. Clean, crisp, cool.
I already made sure that they got that.
Okay. I heard somewhere that there were barrels that we could get that were made out of the best treated wood. It was scorched lightly on the inside, so it gives the drink a little bit of a smoky flavor. Maybe we could go and fetch some of those.
Those are back at the homeland.
Actually, a woman that you've seen on the ship before. Her name is Sybil. She's a human woman, looks to be in her mid-40s. She's has a very athletic build. as she just sort of pats you on the shoulders and says, "Don't worry about it. I'm the ship's cooper. I can scorch and make all the barrels you need."
Great. Wonderful. It seems we have everything we might need then.
I can't remember. Did we each have a room when we were coming up
Well,
on the ship?
let's see. As I bring up the sailing ship, I will give you guys this image. This is basically, that is not it. I don't know what that was. Let's try that again.
So does this mean that Cantriel would get the captain's quarters?
It does indeed.
Oh, that'll be nice.
So yours is actually your quarters are at the stern of the ship below the quarterdeck. There is on the starboard side, there is a sort of meeting room / dining area for essential crew, and then on the port side is the captain's quarters with a bed and a desk, chest. There's a combined room at the front under the forecastle that has 6 beds for various crew, and then down in the lower deck, the first lower deck above the hold, excuse me, there were an additional 3 rooms down there, along with a lot of hammocks and stuff laid out. So a couple of you might have to double up or take a hammock, or take one of the beds up in the front. I think because it's D&D Beyond, I can't save that.
I do think that Fig would come up to Cantriel and I was curious.
Well, that's normal.
I am wondering if I may procure a small area for my things I have kept in my hat. And he kind of like jingles his hat a little bit.
Right, you had quite a collection starting up in there, didn't you?
I would like to build a proper wizard's table for the time we are on ship.
I don't see why not. I mean, the more you can have fun with your mixtures and such, the better for us, right?
I believe so. I have calculated the odds, and there is a minimal chance that I will blow a hole into the side of the ship.
Well, it's probably less than Griveth, so fine. Just let me know what room looks best for you, and we'll see what we can work on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, I'm feeling rather captainy now.
Probably the best room that wouldn't hinder the normal functions of the ship would be either the room with the table in it next to the captain's quarters under the quarterdeck, or basically having Fig have his own room on the lower deck at the stern of the ship.
What do you think? You want that nice room for yourself, perhaps? That way you and Hermes can have some... And she'll look over to Hermes, probably going... room to move.
I actually think that Fig has taken advantage of his swift movements to, like, just carry small, insignificant things on the ship back and forth, back and forth. There is one more question I have, if you don't mind. I would like to try and get into that room that is locked.
I'm not surprised at all, knowing you. I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say Be very sure about what you're going to do.
I will take the highest precaution.
All right. And keep Hermes away from it.
Yes, I also believe that will be wise.
I would
You
like.
see Fig is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I would like you to roll a I would like you to roll an intelligence check. And I will tell you, here's what I'll do. This check is going to determine how well you are getting Hermes under control over these last few days. So you tell me if there is, well, before you roll, or if the die roll was good, I'll let you keep it. But I was going to say you can add a skill if you tell me how you're using that skill to train Hermes.
Ah. Okay. I think it would be. I almost think it would be Arcana. As he is trying to figure out the inner workings of this magical being, that he doesn't even understand himself and how he's made. So by looking at this kind of magical being and seeing like the interworkings of the mechanics, I almost imagine that when Hermes is kind of in his downtime, Fig just kind of like sneaks up and just kind of screws a few of the magical gears and tries to like just trying to like test things as if it was a normal machine, though he knows it's not a normal machine. It's magic.
Okay.
Oh. And that is much better because I rolled a 6. So that's going to be a 15.
A 15.
Yes.
So in your fiddling around with Hermes, one of the things that you learn is as you open up his head compartment, he does not have the complex magical mechanism. And I imagine you weren't necessarily expecting that, but there is no gem with smaller gems orbiting. There is some very basic mechanisms that are controlling it. But in the process of doing what you're doing, you do manage to sort of put a couple of your magical cogs in place. And I almost picture this like a restraining bolt on C-3PO or something like that. Though it's not a restraining bolt. It's more the first step of you sort of establishing a direct connection between yourself and Hermes. So you do find that Hermes is no longer, while he does still move very quickly from point to point, he no longer runs aimlessly around. He will obey your commands, will wait. You can give him basic commands of simple commands of where you want him to go. Take this to this location or this person. You can give him very basic commands like follow, stay, that kind of stuff. With this first check, you have learned how to issue basic commands.
Perfect. Awesome.
You just made the check, by the way. I mean, it's not like anything horribly really could have gone wrong, but... All right, so are you mentioned were you just saying sort of like here's a pin in this, I want access to that door, but you're not doing that right now, or are you?
No. Fig, he knows, he learned last time that he has to ask permission, so he is going to, that is his is what he's going to be trying to do on the trip.
Okay, well, you have successfully made it so that Hermes is helping move things back and forth, helping load the ship. V, are you still there? Did we lose?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Your screen's frozen.
Yeah, my internet blipped and it got frozen on my end, so I can hear you and I can watch on Twitch.
Can you try to turn your camera off and on again?
No, it won't let me do anything.
Oh.
Like, it's full on frozen. Nope.
If you want to try leaving and coming back in, we can just reset the cameras. That's not a big deal.
Okay.
At least at least you're not frozen and like making a weird face or anything like that. You just look like you're like you're thinking.
I'm pensive.
It's a very pensive thought.
I'm thinking about my life as a captain. All right, I'll be back. Sorry.
No worries. So the cameras will go wonky for a few moments while we deal with this. In the meantime, if it does like anything else, she's probably going to come in as more than one version before it resets itself. All right. What about Griveth? We haven't heard much from Griveth, of course, lately with Scotty having to miss a couple sessions. Yeah. So Griveth, what are you up to in preparation for this?
Okay, so Griveth, he's a little bit vain, right? So, and he loves to show off his body. So he hasn't been getting much of a tan lately, from wearing all this armor. So he's stowing his armor and he's got his loincloth on. He's flexing his muscles as he walks up the gangplank, carrying boxes, loading the ship. So he's trying to show off his amazing physique as he loads the ship. He's also carrying. He understands that Dawnbringer needs me to be close. So he's so it's an interesting view because he's got nothing on but his loincloth, but he's got Dawnbringer strapped to his back, like there's a strap going around his chest to his back. So he's got her laying between the blades of his shoulders on his back, laying up against him. So it's a weird.
Hold on 1 second, Scotty. Ted, turn off your camera. All right, turn yours on. Then Ted. Then Dan. Then Jeremy. Sorry, we were trying to do that subtly, and Ted was listening so intently he wasn't looking at the chat. We're all in our side chat going, Ted.
Like, Ted.
All right.
I apologize.
No problem.
Don't apologize for active listening.
Right.
All right, Scotty, go back to Griveth's shirtless loading of the ship.
Okay, so he's, like I was saying, and of course he's oiled up. He's oiled up. He's catching those sun rays so he doesn't get too pale from wearing all this armor. He's got his armor stash. He's loading cargo onto the ship. He's trying, and of course he's flexing the whole time. And like I said, he's got the loincloth on, but it's strange because he's got Dawnbringer strapped to his chest or on his back, so she's like laying between his shoulder blades, and so she can be close to him. And that's what Griveth is doing.
All right. Sorry, I was looking for a facepalm emote. What about Drown? What's Drown doing to get ready?
Drown doesn't require a whole lot personally, so he'd mostly just be busying himself helping load all of the general supplies, and at some point he's going to track down Valoran.
Yeah, Valrin has very much been involved in keeping himself very busy with. He's basically become sort of the land side supervisor of all of the loading operation. So you will find him in the sea cave with a clipboard, sort of checking off, making sure everything's getting loaded.
All right. Then I'll just sort of approach him while there's a little bit of a lull and settle in next to him. You seem to be getting on well.
Well, you know that I find that I'm better when I can keep busy.
Have you thought about what you're going to do from here?
Well, I thought at the first we would load all of these bigger things, then we would get the smaller items loaded on next. And he sort of elbows you in the side and... No, I know, you mean bigger picture.
Yes.
Well, the way I see it, there are two options. You know, our home is here, to the north. I could try to go home. But when we left, it was because there was nothing for us there. And now, these people I have spent much time with, I have grown very close to many of them. And I care for them. And I wonder if it would just be a good idea to stick around here and to help Velitha and Laramie with what they are doing. But if you wanted me to, we are friends. We are companions. I can, of course, go with you if that is what you want.
I can't stay here. But I suspected that you might be thinking of staying, and if that's what you wish, that's fine. There's a mine here, and I know many of their miners and workers were killed or injured. I'm sure you could show them the right way to do it. These Dawnbringers have invited me to come with them, and as I have to keep moving, I think I'll go with them for now. But if you're here, then I'll rest easy knowing that, at least for the time being, you're safe and where to find you.
I am not like a tree, one to put permanent roots down. But for now, I find that here, whether it's working with Velitha and Laramie, or working with that Copperlocks woman at the mines, I think there is a place here in Saltmarsh for me for a time. For quite some time.
Good. That's good.
You follow something that I've never fully understood. But I know that it guides you, and it calls to you. You listen to it, but do so cautiously. Balance what this force tells you against what your mind and your heart tells you. And if there's room in there, keep my voice in the back of your mind. Ask yourself, what would Valrin do? And then probably do the opposite, if I'm being honest. But
Drown puts his hand on Valrin's shoulder and gives it a hard squeeze and says, "Your voice has never been silent."
I've been hearing that for a long time.
But I'm no longer a child of the mountain. You know that.
It seems as though you have adopted the sea.
Or it's taken me until it's done with me.
Well, if this season of life takes you across the sea and with these Dawnbringers, I think it would be a good season of life.
We're apparently sailing toward danger and death, so at least it won't be dull.
Of course you are.
So he just kind of stays there quietly and just maybe a little bit awkward for a moment, and then sort of straightens up and says, "Well then, it is decided. If you do move on from here, do try to send us word. Perhaps the Lady Vantage could be of help."
I will do that. And if you have an opportunity at some time, find a way to get a message to me. I never fully understood how all this magic stuff works, but sometimes I know tokens and talismans work. So here. And he kind of reaches up into his beard and he fumbles for a moment, and then he just reaches to his side and pulls a small utility knife off of his belt and just cuts one of his beard beads off. And it's one that is etched with the runes of his tribe, or his clan, from up in the mountains. And it's made of stone. And he sort of cuts it off and then pulls the beard hairs out of it and says, "Here, you keep this with you, just in case."
He takes the tiny beard in his massive Goliath paw and sort of turns it over and tucks it inside his armor into a pocket inside his shirt. He nods once, clasps his shoulder again, and then just kind of walks toward the ship silently.
As you start walking towards one of the rowboats, unless you're going to just go through the water. You are drowned.
I mean, if there's a boat ready to go,
Yeah.
we'll take the boat. That's fine.
You just hear him. He kind of stands there for a minute, and then you sort of, as you're walking away, you just hear, "Hey, you know these boxes aren't going to move themselves. Get them on that boat." And he's right back into sort of acting as a foreman for this minor operation.
Perfect.
Cantriel, how are you preparing yourself to bring your new crew upon your new ship?
I'm standing at the water's edge and staring at the ship like it's, the absolute terror of my life right now.
Are you standing on the bluff up above overlooking? Or are you
No.
down in the sea cave?
I'd be down in the sea cave. Just, it's like eyes are narrowed, arms crossed. There's a frown on my face. And it's just standing almost stock still, which for Cantriel is very weird. And it's more mind is running a mile a minute trying to remember all the terms and keeping in mind what Madame Thelo is saying, and part terrified that I'm bringing them back into more horror and grim darkness than anything else.
Eventually, all of the supplies have been loaded. 2 rowboats sit in the sea cave. Velitha and Laramie, and not all, but quite a few of the original, quite a few of the refugees, but all of the original refugees of the surviving are gathered at the edge as the tide is just beginning to rise up. And they are preparing to see you all off, as all that remains is for the 7 of you Although I imagine at this point, Fig has Hermes already on board the ship. So it's just the 6 of you. If you have anything, does anybody want to say anything to any of the refugees? Any final words before you take off?
Oh, I would completely turn on. Right, so you have the funding. They're already welcoming you. Here's to hoping you have a new home.
Certainly can't do any worse than we did.
Don't challenge them. Don't. Let's not tempt the fates.
Stay safe and enjoy your new life. We're happy to have set you upon a better path, even if it's a path that we're not to stay a part of.
Velitha and Laramie, the brother and sister, stand close by. They've become the sort of de facto leaders of this band of refugees. You'll take care of yourself. All of you. You all have powers far beyond anything that we could imagine. But we will never forget what you have done for us. It is because of all of you that we are free to make our own futures. We will not forget that. And if it is time that you go elsewhere and be heroes to somebody else, then so be it.
Right, heroes. How about we just say, we'll see you another time.
Thorgarn will put a, big old stupid grin on his face and say, "Friends?"
Are you asking them?
I'm asking them, yeah.
Or are you
Ludo?
addressing your Dawnbringers?
No, to the refugees, to the they said that to be heroes to other people, implying that they're heroes to them, and he's trying to replace that with friends.
They would look at you and nod. Friends, you, though the city of Saltmarsh does not hold you in the highest of regards now, you will always be welcomed here. Safe travels. Sorry?
I said that's appreciated. If anything should happen, and you have the ability to get word to us, we'll do our best to make it right.
We will remember that. And already they're starting to step back a little bit as the tide is beginning to rise further into the cavern.
Right, so who wants to get on the boat?
And with that, you all climb aboard the rowboats, and a couple of the crew row the boats back to the Evangeline. You all climb aboard, and as you climb aboard, Victor comes floating over by you. I don't remember you asking at any point permission for that, whatever it is, to come aboard. It's running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's gonna wear holes in the deck.
I do apologize. May Hermes come aboard?
Well, He's already been aboard for hours. And then all 5 of his eyes roll. Fine, he can come aboard.
Hermes is quite strong, and as you have seen, quite fast. I'm sure he will prove invaluable to help out in the ship however he can.
As you're talking, Victor's already floating away. And he floats over to Cantriel, where using one of his eye stalks, he sort of makes like a salute above his central eye. Captain Cantriel, is it?
Yes. Oof, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Yeah. Hi, your new captain here. How you doing?
All is well. What would you like us to do? The ship is under your command.
Is everyone settled in the respective rooms and everything?
Immediately, he begins floating to and fro. Everyone, the captain orders that you get settled!
No!
Settled into your rooms!
No, Victor. Oh, this is going to be fun. Victor, not literally right now. I'm not, it's not bedtime.
Belay that order! The captain says it is not bedtime!
You're a loud one, aren't you? All right, Victor. I'm going to introduce you to a new language. It's called sarcasm, and I'm fluent.
It's been a long time since I've learned a new language. I shall take it upon myself to learn this sarcasm.
Well, hopefully you're a quick study.
I'm looking forward to it. And 2 of his eyes wink.
All right, then. There's hope.
See, Captain, there is someone more annoying than I am.
Nope, you're still more annoying. Anyways, Victor, I just meant I wanted to make sure that everyone would have a place to, rest their head when the evening should come and we all need to actually get some rest. Figured that'd be better to settle now as opposed to when we're out in the open, wavy, bumpy sea. And she sort of looks over to Talmud.
Well, generally speaking, there are plenty of beds for everyone, including for all of yourselves. You, of course, have your own quarters under the quarterdeck at the back of the ship. Down below decks, there are plenty of hammocks. There are rooms up here under the, what's the front of the ship again? The forecastle.
Thank God.
Under the forecastle, there are more bunks. At no time will everybody be sleeping at once. Well, unless you order it to be that way, Captain. But generally, some are on duty even through the nights, watching, keeping us safe. Though I am always watching, ever vigilant.
Yes, shifts and watches make sense. So I'm under the quarterback?
The quarterdeck, yes.
Excellent.
And he sort of floats over where there's 2 doors, and he knocks on, looking at the stern of the ship. It would be the right side doors. He sort of knocks it with the back of one of his eye stalks. This is you.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind. Oh, got a new cook. Have you met her yet?
Ah, yes. That kindly little gnome woman, Madame
Yes.
Thela.
Yes, she seems quite the good fit. Treat her well.
I
And
would
make sure she
do
has everything she
nothing
needs.
but.
Good. All right, so Victor, we're going to be quite frank at this point. Do you know what I
Very
mean by
well,
being
Captain
quite
Frank.
Yes, I was afraid of that. We're going to be... How am I going to say this? We're going to keep things very simple. I am new to this. You are not.
I had
What would
no
you
idea.
recommend? You had every idea, don't lie.
Sorry, I was trying out the sarcasm.
Oh, job well done. All right, so she'll lean in closely. What am I supposed to do now?
You mean you have no idea?
He gave me a boat and a hat. No instruction whatsoever.
All right,
So,
here's the deal. Captain Stark already filled me in on your lack of experience.
oh, good. At least in this general department.
Most everybody of the crew here already knows what their jobs are. It is my job to ensure that everything runs smoothly. You can give most all of your orders directly to me, and I will see that the crew performs their duties to the best of their abilities, or they will be whipped!
No.
They will not be whipped.
They will not be whipped. They will be...
He says that almost as if he's remembering. No, Stark said no whipping.
No whipping. We're going to keep with that one.
That was
That's
a
very good
long
rule.
time ago.
Yes, a long time ago. Don't need to go there. We'll take it on a case-by-case basis. I have ways of making them not happy without whipping them.
Interesting.
Although-
I look forward to seeing them not happy, to see what you do.
I have a few tricks up my sleeve. There is
So-
a brig, correct?
We could make the brig into any room we want. Although, to be
Oh, no,
certain, the room at the stern of the hold that remains locked and ever dangerous, we don't really know what's in it. So for all we know, that could be the brig.
All right, well, we just need to find a place to keep them while they're in timeout.
I assure you that this crew is well behaved, though I cannot account for yours that you brought aboard.
That's why I'm asking for a timeout spot, quite frankly.
So, here's the deal. The first thing you're going to want to do, and he leans in conspiratorially, you're going to want to tell them to weigh anchor and to set
it heavy?
sail. That means to raise the anchor.
So why not just say raise the anchor?
Because we
Why would
say
you want to
weigh
weigh it?
anchor. That's what we say at sea. Then you tell
All right,
them
so
tell them
weigh
where
anchor.
you want to go.
home.
I don't know where home is. My home is this ship.
Oh, right. Where we came from first. Head back that direction.
I'm going to have to give you a briefing
Maps.
on all of the abilities of this vessel.
Right. Well, we know it can fly, but not right now.
Not everybody knows that. Well, everybody here does, but they don't. And he seems to be gesturing with his eye stalks overboard towards the sea.
They?
We always try to keep the abilities of the ship quiet.
Oh.
Well,
You really are
that's what
asking a lot
Captain
now.
Dervish always did. I guess you're the captain. You can do what you want.
Oh, right. All
Come
right,
with
so we're gonna-
me. And he
Come with
begins
you?
to float in a sort of taking you around in a sort of a walkthrough of the ship. And he is just sort of listing off what it can do. But as you notice, as you pass by certain crew, he's talking to you, telling you, over here in these compartments is where the various weapons are kept. We keep them concealed because we are, after all, and somehow he makes air quotes with his eye stalks, we are a sailing merchant vessel, though we do have hidden compartments in the hold if we need to smuggle things.
Don't we all?
Weigh anchor! And he starts sort of just leaning over and giving commands, and you notice the primary crew of the ship is moving around, pulling ropes, unfurling sails, the anchors being hauled aboard, and the ship seems to be getting underway as he takes you around. Now, what he shows you, he tells you the following things, some of which I've mentioned before, and I don't remember what was on camera or off camera, so we're just going to tell you. I have all of these notes. Unfortunately, D&D Beyond does not yet have a way to make homebrew mundane items, so I haven't been able to modify the sailing vessel yet, so I'll have to do it off. I'll figure a way to do it. This is a sailing ship, and I have all the stats for whenever if they happen to be needed. This ship does not have standard sailing ship armaments, however. There is no ballista in the bow of the ship, and there is no mangonel on the main deck. Some of you, I forget who, it might have been Cantriel or it might have been Fit, I don't remember who it was, on the earlier voyage over, had discovered that there were what looked like storage boxes along the gunwales of the main deck, that if you open them up, inside is actually cannons that can be mounted on the railing. Each of these cannons, there are 2 on the port side and 2 on the starboard side. The wonderful release of the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount has made statting these weapons incredibly easy, as they are essentially variations of the arcane cannon from there, minus the poison spray, and they all function at half. So if we need to reference it in D&D Beyond, but you are told that these weapons, which look like cannons, there are 4 different ones. One is an acid jet, one is a fire jet, one is a frost shot, and one is a lightning shot. The acid jet and the fire jet are on the starboard side. The frost jet and the lightning shot are on the port side. He takes you around to the stern of the ship, and up on the quarter deck, where the keel is, the ship's wheel is, there is another cannon that can be mounted on the stern of the ship. Anybody looking at this cannon when it is shown will notice something very peculiar, in that the mouth of the barrel, it is not hollow. It is an eyeball. This particular cannon has a beholder's eye stalk embedded in it, and it functions as a disintegration ray with the same damage and range as a beholder's disintegration ray. That is it for the armaments of the Evangeline. You are aware that the vessel has the ability to magically sort of teleport a distance up to the equivalent of 10 days worth of sea travel. However, it takes 3 days for each day to regain. You used all 10 days getting across the sea, and it has only been, I think, 5 days since you guys got here. You guys have been in town about a week. So there's only, with this new day, basically we'll say that there's, right now there's 1, almost 2 days of magical travel available. Otherwise, you have about 12 days of travel across the sea. The other property is the ship's ability for magical flight. It has 24 hours of flight time, of which 2 have already been used in the rescuing of the refugees from the Dreadnought. They do not recharge until all 24 hours are expended. When expended, it takes 30 days for them to recharge. And then the last thing that you're shown is the entire stern section of the ship, equivalent to the size of the quarterdeck, has a door that is locked. And he reminds you that at least 3 people have died trying to get into this locked door.
Right, that's the tricky one. Do you have any idea what's behind there?
I have absolutely no idea. When I was appointed to guard this vessel nearly 100 years ago, I was not told what was behind it.
And it never piqued your curiosity, ever.
My assignment by Lord Aetherlock was to guard this vessel until the end of my days or until he returned.
So you take your orders seriously then?
I am bound to obey my orders.
All right, I'm adding a new one. Make sure Griveth is closed at all times. No walking around in a loincloth anymore. All right?
Whew. I was going to say something to him about that. It's
Is
more
it
for
tr-
his personal safety. Being out at sea, oiled up like that, shirtless, he is going to burn to a crisp.
In one way or another, yes, because after a certain period of time, I don't think many of us could take it anymore.
I mean, it's gray skies, but the sun does still burn.
Hmm.
Is it true, spectator, that our dear captain, needs a first mate?
You're not it.
I could be your first mate.
No, you're not.
I
being
am
any
the
of
first
mine.
mate.
I have Victor.
That is my
Oh,
assignment.
you're the first mate.
You know
He
that
is.
I'm the first mate.
You're a floating eyeball.
I am
Victor,
5
you
floating eyeballs.
Victor, do you have
Okay,
my
yeah.
permission if you ever feel insulted or that anyone's not taking you seriously? Away to the timeout room, brig, whatever you want to call it, with them.
You haven't actually established which room is the brig.
Oh, I know. One that's probably lower in the ship and darker and gloomier and less appealing. Do we have one of those?
I'd be your perfect first mate.
You'd be perfect for the anchor.
So on the map, the rooms marked 11 double as brigs.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
I hadn't counted those because of you all needing rooms.
Right, that might be an issue. We may have to convert some hold space.
Ooh, hold. Please hold.
If you would like to build a brig, because you think we're going to need one, I will talk to Sybil, and we'll begin construction immediately.
Excellent. You're still the first mate. You'll always stay first mate. She'll lean in closer. There's not a need for a second mate, right? We don't have like marching orders.
Did you say that there's a section of the hold that you can't open?
There's a mystery door. Fig has his eyes on it. Maybe you can help him out with it.
Perhaps we should see to that before we are out on the open ocean.
You can already feel that the ship has a gentle rocking to it as you've begun to move underway. But yeah, if you want to, you can check out the mystery door.
All right, I'll go find Fig.
All right.
I think that Fig is in his newly appointed wizard workshop. And perhaps as you're coming up to it, you hear this small little poof.
Which room did you end up taking for that?
I believe it was the one by the captain's thing.
Okay.
That one?
Yep.
Yes. If that's okay.
Okay, so I'll approach that that door near the stern there, and if is it open or closed?
It is closed.
Closed. Then he'll pound on the door twice.
You hear the small patter of footsteps, and when you open the door, you see this cloud of dust, colored dust, blues and greens and purples and yellows, and Fig kind of pops his head out, and he's just coated with these different colors. Yes?
Very colorful. The captain mentioned that there's a section of the hold that is locked and unknown. I feel uncomfortable setting out to sea with whatever that might be underneath us. And they said you had interest in it. Would you like to go open the door?
Yes, I think that would be quite wise. I tried to open it before, but I was chastised for it. So this would be a good time.
All right.
All right, so the two of you head down to the hold to where this door is.
So how tall are the decks on this ship?
Well, that is a great question.
Oh, 8 feet high. Haha.
You found it? Oh, yep, there it is.
Look at that.
6 foot high doorways and 8 foot high ceilings. So I imagine Drown's having to hunch a bit.
He'll have to fold himself through doorways and probably watch out for beams and things that are hanging off the ceiling. But yeah, okay. Cool.
So you make your way to this door, and what would you like to do? How would the two of you like to proceed?
Is it simply locked?
I did not even get a chance to touch it. I am not sure.
Drown reaches out and tries to open the door.
Okay.
Fix does not stop him, but like looks very intently.
You reach out and you grab the handle of the door.
Right.
As you do so, you feel a sharp prick in your finger. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Alrighty-o. That's a 15.
So that is a fail.
Oof.
And 1 second. I'm going to need a few more d6s. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9,
I will say at this point in time, Thorgarn
10.
is, probably in the hold working on his alcohol. Preferably, Talmud is there to try and keep his mind occupied.
All right. As you touch the door and feel this something poke your finger, you will take 10, 16, 24, 26, 31, 35, 37 points of poison.
Well, that's a shitload of poison damage.
And you feel this as it courses through your arm. You can see it coursing up along the veins in your arm as they seem to turn purple as they move up through your shoulder and into your system and sort of pulse with your heartbeat. And the door also remains locked.
All right, so Drown kind of jerks his hand back when he feels the sting and starts to and just stare at his arm, kind of put his other hand up on the wall to steady himself.
Interesting. How do you feel?
Unwell.
I think like nods knowingly, even though you probably have no idea. But he would bend down at the door just to try and have a look at it, inspect it.
Give me an investigation check.
That is a 16.
So looking at the door, you notice that this door itself is a very heavy wooden door. The handle appears to be, at first glance, just a normal, seems to have a sort of like an iron knob or brass knob. It's very tarnished. But as you lean in close, you see that there is a hole in the center, and you can just make out the needle glistening that punctured Drown's hand, with a little bit of the poison still sort of glistening on the end. But you notice that the knob itself has a some symbols etched into it. In particular, there is this ornate looking sort of V shape that is emblazoned on the door. I would like you to make a history check at advantage.
Ooh, that's an 18 on the die for a 27.
Oh, you recognize this symbol. One, because this symbol is the same symbol that I'm remembering now, because it's been ages since we first saw the ship. We just took it for granted. This same symbol is emblazoned on all of the sails in blue. This sort of ornate looking V. And you remember seeing this symbol from the many, many, many books you absorbed. The tales are old enough that it was taken to potentially be fiction, but it tells of a band of adventurers known as the Vayeros, led by a halfling named Sylvain Aetherlock. Amongst them, the Vayeros, there was also an adventurer. There was a dwarf. There was an elven druid. There was a cleric by the name of Hyceneroth, and there was a sorcerer by the name of the Lady Vantage. This band of adventurers had made quite a name for themselves, and in the stories that you read about 100 years ago, they separated. They had adventured for quite some time, and they had separated to seek their own fortunes. The stories tell that Lord Sylvain Aetherlock went on to become for a time, was a masked Lord of Waterdeep. The Lady Vantage serving in one of the schools in Waterdeep. Hyceneroth, the cleric, the stories grow fuzzy, but he headed off to the deserts in the south, near Cormyr, and particularly in the Kalimshan desert. And the last word was that he had declared himself Cleric King of the South, though the stories tell that armies fought against him and that he had raised up armies of undead. There is legends of Hyceneroth that tell of an ancient pyramid in the desert that may or may not contain his remains and his vast accumulated treasures. But this tells you without a doubt that this vessel once belonged to Lord Sylvain Aetherlock. The blue of the V indicates that it belonged to Aetherlock. Each one of them stylized in a different color this symbol to identify themselves as the Vayeros.
And the symbols around the V, does Fig recognize those?
With that check, you would recognize that they are arcane sigils that it's a sort of a combination of a magical ward and a mundane trap that basically what it says is that only the blood of my blood can open this door.
So Fig would relay all of this to Drown. Quite a conundrum indeed.
Is this name Aetherlock? Is this person known to you?
Only in tales that I have read. The Lady Vantage, though, seems to be a commonality. It is too bad that we have already set sailed.
What do you know of Aetherlock again?
He spent some time. He was the one who spent time in Waterdeep, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Or is that? Yeah. He spent some time in Waterdeep. Perhaps Cantriel will have knowledge of this. She seemed quite close with the Lady Vantage.
Possibly.
I shall fetch her from her captain duties. And he would go to leave and he just pauses. He's like, I do not know how aware you are with experiments, but usually we try the same thing twice just to make sure that the experiment is accurate. However, in this circumstance, I would not recommend touching the knob again.
Perfect.
Fig just nods like he helped and goes to get Cantriel.
All right, as Fig heads to get Cantriel, we are going to go ahead and take our 10-minute break. So please stick around. We'll be back in 10 minutes as we head underway and see what happens with, once again, the Dawnbringers dealing with a door. All right, we will be right back after these messages. And we're back. Pay no attention to the curtain behind the man. There
Or
we go.
do. You never know.
There's nothing back there. It's
Of
all
course not.
ocean and gray skies.
And, yeah.
But nobody cares about the gray skies and the storm in the distance because
There's
they're
a door.
trying to get a door unlocked.
Oh my god, we're fighting against a door again.
Yep. A door that has already dealt, I think it was
39.
39 points of poison damage to Drown. And Fig, studying the door, you've learned a little bit about the history of this ship. And you have brought Cantriel down, or at least sought her out for information. Did you bring her to the door? Or?
Yeah, Fig would have.
We need another live test subject.
What?
Here,
what-
touch that.
Maybe.
Fig, why are we back at the door? I thought you were going to take your time with this.
Drown thought it was pertinent that we deal with the door now before we get out into open waters.
She's going to turn on her heel and like stare right at Drown. Why? This door has been like this for years, and the ship's been working just fine.
If you're comfortable leaving something there that might be dangerous, then fine.
How about next time, before you make a big decision about a big bad door, maybe run it by the rest of us who've already dealt with the door?
I did.
You went right to Fig.
You told me to find Fig.
That's
was
not
interested in
open
the door.
door. That's not open door. How are you feeling? You look a little peaked.
Not well.
Did you touch the door?
Yes.
Lesson learned.
Should I not touch any handles in this ship?
Just not that one.
So it is quite interesting. And he would like point
Did
without
you-
touching.
Did you know the handle was poisoned?
I know that the door has killed 3 people.
That would have been good to know.
Well, maybe next time ask.
I asked about the door.
You asked Fig.
So this door is really interesting. You can see here that there is
I
the
cast
sigil
Dispel
here.
Magic on the door.
Okay. Oh, there's another domain die.
Let's see if
for
that
you.
does anything.
Drown's not still suffering from poison, is he?
I mean,
He's
I'm
not-
suffering from having taken almost 40 points
good
of
chunk
damage.
of it, yeah.
Yeah, he's not poisoned. He just
Okay,
received
that's
poison
what I was
damage.
asking. Okay.
Um.
So yeah, let's get the order straight. So first you should ask the second mate, which is me,
No.
and then the first mate, which
No.
is
So
Did Griveth come down in this? Who's in the conversation right now?
Drown.
well, I heard
Yes.
stuff going on.
Yeah, Thorgarn's off in the background somewhere making booze.
Brewing.
Drown,
Aren't
I
we?
need you to make a
Charisma check.
yeah, whatever your spellcasting ability is.
Very well. Ooh. That is going to be a 21.
So
Of drinking age.
what does it look like when you cast Dispel Magic on this door and it works?
So he throws his hand out towards the door. His eyes begin to shimmer with that deep sea green glow. He turns and closes his fists, and those tentacles writhe out of the door, shimmering spectral greenish blue tentacles. They sort of crisscross, gripping the door, wrap around the handle, and then rip away, pulling the magic away from it.
When you do that, you see the the patina that was on the doorknob was very almost stylized. You watch as the doorknob grows very sort of green with age. The wood seems to age, and the whole door just sort of sags a bit as any magic that was imbuing the door has suddenly left it.
Cantriel will turn to Drown and kind of like pat his back. There you go. You should have started with that one instead. And she'll do cure wounds. Let's see. I'll do this at 3rd level. Because it was what, 40?
Thereabouts.
Yeah, we're going to do 3rd level. Okay, not too shabby. So that's going to be 18 points back for you.
Lovely, thank you. So Drown takes sort of a deep, relieved breath, nods his thanks. So does the door still seem to be like on its hinges and all that? It just looks older and shabbier now?
It's just more aged, but still on its hinges.
Why don't you let me open it?
Watch out for the needle. Not that it matters to you, I suspect.
Yes, I am not quite as susceptible as you. And Fig would just open up or twist the door.
All right. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw. I believe at advantage for you. Because Fig is still susceptible to poisons.
Yes, just resistant.
You do have advantage versus poisons too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I have resistance to poison. Yeah.
Right, but
So,
you also...
Oh, wait, that's different.
Do you have resistance?
Yeah. Oh, and I have... and I have both advantage and... Okay, yep. I know.
I forgot to check the resistance. I was looking at to see earlier when you guys were messing with the door. I thought, I need to see if Fig's affected by this.
Yeah. Didn't do that well. I only got a 11.
Oops. So you fail. So you only take half damage. As you... Strangely, the needle... It comes out of the door with such force that it actually penetrates the metal of your hand. It seems to sort of slip between these segments of your palm. Let's see. It's going to be... Put these in groups of 10. Okay. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40... 45, so you will take 23 points of poison damage. But the door opens up.
I imagine that the where it pierced just happened to pierce one of the tubing of this blue arcane magic that Fig has around his hands, and you just see for a moment this little bubble of bright green just flow from his arm through his body and kind of down into his system. So that's what that feels like.
Are you okay?
How do you feel?
Better than you, I would imagine.
Out of curiosity, how come neither of you kicked it in? I mean, it's old now and it's falling apart.
Because I asked Fig if it was locked and he said he didn't know, so I tried the handle.
Well, no, I mean before, but I mean right now. How come no one kicked it in? Whatever.
No need. It's open.
Well, now it is.
Perhaps we may want to lock it again.
No, we'll leave it as is. I think 2 poisonings in 1 day is plenty.
It's possible my spell will only leave it open for a short time. I'm not entirely sure. So if we're going to investigate, we should do so quickly.
All right.
Should I smash the door, Captain?
Go back up on top of the deck and put some clothes on.
But I want to see what's in the room.
Oh, tell you what, keep the door open like a gentleman. Make sure it doesn't close behind us.
All right.
Don't touch
You can do
the
that.
handle.
Or if it just happens to start slamming itself shut, sacrifice that, something like that. And she'll, I'll pat Fig's shoulder and it starts to get a little glow to it for light.
Cast light on Fig's shoulder?
Yeah, so we can
Cool.
see inside the room.
It's very cool.
That's very
Yeah,
cool.
Fig-
I win.
As you
My
open
God,
the
Fig, you're glowing. How are you?
as you open the door, Fig, you see the light that is your magically illuminated shoulder reflecting off of what appears to be two eyes staring back at you. You see massive claws reaching out towards you from a metallic form that appears to be moving as you step into the room. And then you realize it's the shadows moving around. This form is stationary. You see in the center of this hold, which is the hold itself, this whole area is 20-foot square, basically. Occupying the center of the room is what at first appears to be a large sealed iron barrel. Two metal tubes come rising up, curve forward, and they have glass, and that's what is staring at you. Giant metallic claws are reaching forward, pincer-like claws, with 6 claw-like feet holding it up off the floor. Fig, make me a history check.
Hey, Jake, question. Would Cantriel suddenly perk up at seeing such a device?
Actually, you would, because you talked to
A certain tiefling of a rather
a certain
appealing colour.
tiefling, yes.
Yes.
So you can make the check with advantage, though I doubt Cantriel's ever actually seen one.
But it was described.
Yes.
And she has a very vivid imagination.
I got a 21.
Cantriel,
Yes.
what'd you get?
Oh, I'm supposed to roll too?
I said you can roll with advantage.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Fig. My bad. And we're doing what, investigation?
Yep. Or history.
20... History. Oh, well, that's a horse of a different color. That's a 23.
Cantriel, this perfectly matches the description you were given by the tiefling merchant magic items dealer. And Fig, you recognize this from drawings in books you've read. This is a very rare item known as an apparatus of Qualish. It is a submersible vehicle, essentially, that can go into water and maneuver through water. It can hold at least a person, though you have no idea how one works. Cantriel, of course, knows that should you choose, there is a buyer for this. Your light, however, is also illuminating quite a bit of other things on the perimeters of this room. There are a lot of crates and barrels in here. There is some shelving along the edges that have items that have been secured to it. And a couple of the crates appear to have been partially open, like the lid is off to the side. And every time you look towards one, you see a lot of sparkly bits.
So you've put me in a place with crate and barrel.
I'll pick up some
And
throw pillows.
sparkling things. Oh, dear. Oh, my.
There is basically a, well, there's a shitload of treasure in here.
Oh no.
Well, this has been an interesting turn of events.
So I will, between this season and the next season, I will have you guys off game. I will have you do some rolls to determine what all is in here. But you have found one of Sylvain Aetherlock's treasure caches, and you now know why this door was so magically secured. You also know, as time's gone by, several minutes have gone by, and the door doesn't appear to be trying to close. you're fairly confident, Drown, that you were successful in completely dispelling the magic that was warding this door.
I will no doubt he said one of the treasure troves. So
Yep, I heard that one too. Right, so doors staying as doors should technically. However, considering the contents, what you took away, could you put back?
No.
No. Fig! New job. Make the door very unappealing. Except for us.
Very well.
Find a good way to lock it up, just to keep things safe.
All right. As you're all sort of observing this, and this is going on, where's Talmud been this whole time? Yeah, I should have. Let me rephrase that. Where has Talmud been throwing up this whole time?
He tries to make it over the edge of the ship, over the gunnel as much as possible, but it happens. No, I would imagine that he's trying really hard to stay focused on this task that Thorgarn has given him of creating a brew, and every once in a while there's just a certain rocking of the ship or a certain waft of the chemicals that they're kind of mixing together that sends him bounding up the stairs as quickly as he can to upchuck whatever he ate last.
I imagine we're doing this near a porthole so that,
There you go.
need be.
Well, you're in the hold, so there wouldn't be a porthole down there.
Oh, well,
Maybe a bucket.
You're at or below the water line.
We've got a chamber bucket.
Remember
So-
that pine charred barrel? There's a few of those lying around.
Just straight into the bilge. It's fine.
There you go.
So Talmud, there's a point where you are, as you're working with Thorgarn, just getting everything set up and putting your initial brew together. As you said, you find yourself getting more and more nauseous, and as you head running up the stairs to through the lower deck and then up to the main deck, you do make it to the edge and you spew into the sea, but you realize that it may not have just been the chemicals. You notice that the waves have picked up. The skies have turned a dark, ominous gray, and you can hear the rumblings of thunder nearby. The wind is picking up and is whipping the sails, and you hear bells begin to ring. Cantriel down below deck, all of you hear bells being rung.
That can't be good.
Talmud comes to the opening of kind of where they're at. Does anyone else hear that?
Bells, yes.
Oh, that's good, at least.
Yeah, Drown will head up onto deck.
Is anybody not running up to deck?
Well, I'm closing the door behind me carefully, but I'm
Don't-
also
don't
not
touch the
touching the knot. That's just I was just about to say. I'm going to take one of my a bit of my skirt and kind of loop it around the door and use the skirt and tug it close.
You would notice, now being fully aware of this trap, that while the door is the magic that was keeping it locked has gone away, you hear a sort of ping as this poison trap has reset itself.
Oh.
All right, so it still has some form of defense. We're good. Don't touch the knobs.
So is everybody heading upstairs? Let me rephrase that. We're on a boat. Is everybody heading above deck?
Griveth realizes he's woefully under armored and he's going to run to his quarters and try to get his armor on as fast as possible.
All right, Griveth, suddenly realizing he's nearly naked.
Loincloth.
Right.
10 minutes later, Griveth comes out on deck, pulling on the last boot.
I would have sought out Victor right away.
You find Victor up on the quarterdeck at the ship's wheel, 2 eye stalks are holding the wheel, and another crew member is ringing the bell. Once everybody seems to have been made aware, the bell stops ringing. This storm appears to have come up quite quickly. We were not prepared for this, but we are heading directly into it.
All right.
On purpose?
It's in the way of where we're going.
So, not a no, not a yes. What do we need to do?
The crew knows how to handle the ship. We are definitely going to want to be prepared to furl the sails. We get too far into that storm, the storm will rip the sails apart and tear the mast down.
So curl the sails back up, you're saying?
Furl the sails, yes.
Gotcha.
But we might want to wait. Let's see if we can get some speed moving in. But there's no way around it. And he sort of indicates towards the horizon, and you see this storm. You can actually see at the front of it, at sea level, it seems to be sort of roiling forward. The clouds just sort of bubbling and boiling forward. You see the lightning in the distance. Actually, very much like what's happening behind me with this that's been here this whole time. The sea is getting, the waves are getting heavier. And you watch, and it seems as if as the clouds are moving towards you, they seem to be sort of spilling almost in a miles wide arc to engulf. So, as you are heading in and you begin to lean heavily into, not literally, but in terms of instruction-wise, into Victor's expertise, he barks a few orders, and he keeps kind of leaning over to you as he'll yell something, and then he'll say, "That means to do this," and then he tells them to do something. "Oh, that means to do this." And the crew begins moving very rapidly, maneuvering the ship, trying to basically maneuver it so that they're riding straight into the waves, and you begin riding up and down ever increasing waves. Talmud, this is not going to do you very much good, but all of you, if you want to move at full speed across the surface of the deck, will have to make a dexterity check. Otherwise, you are under difficult terrain. The deck has become very slippery, and the deck is heaving to and fro as the ship begins riding across these waves. The thunder is becoming oppressive. There is high wind just suddenly billowing. The sails are full, and then all of a sudden, a gust of wind will come, and the ship seems to stop momentarily at the crest of a wave as the sails go backwards and then back forwards. Victor quickly gives the command to raise the sails. Crew is scrambling up the masts as the sails are being raised. Several of them are tying off the sails as they attempt to do to furl them completely, when suddenly a gust of wind comes screaming towards the ship, and the wheel, as Victor has sort of moved away from the wheel in front of you, Cantriel, the wheel begins to spin.
Well, damn it. And I'll lunge to try and stop it because I have my new thingies.
All right, I need you to make a strength check as you grab the spinning wheel and try to get the ship under control.
Okay. Even with the new clothes. That's a 10. Oh, I can reroll. I can reroll.
There's 130 domain dice sitting above my head.
Sure. Okay, let's have fun with this then. Oh, that's better. That's a dirty 20.
You reach out, and there's this sort of... It takes a second as a few rungs go slapping past your hands, and you just... You get a hold of it, and then you bring it back around, and Victor turns and sees that you have it, and he just sort of stops and gives you one of those eye stalk salutes as he continues to barking orders. And you notice that much quicker than you would have thought possible, the storm is upon you. The clouds are roiling forward, and you see looming ahead of you as the clouds actually begin to take shape. As the clouds appear to take on a shape of some sort of giant, just massive winged serpent. And by winged serpent, I mean multiple sets of wings along its coiling body, lightning in and around and through it. And you watch as a giant, monstrous head forms in the clouds as it opens its mouth, and there is a tremendous slam of thunder that emerges out from this. And I would like, Cantriel, since you're at the wheel, I would like you to... I'm going to have you make a strength check and see how you maneuver against this attack.
I'm going to reroll. Okay, that's an 18.
An 18. All right. There it is. I was trying to find the damage threshold on this ship. So your ship has an armor class of 15. It has 300 hit points, but it has a 15 point damage threshold. So anything under 15 points of damage won't affect it. This thunderous slam is going to hit the bow of the ship, and that is going to be that's a couple sixes. 25 points of damage as the bowsprit, you hear it crack, and you hear timbers cracking at the front. And I would like all of you to roll initiative.
Oh boy.
We're fighting the clouds. 17.
I suspect at least one person here has an inkling of what this is.
Oh God, he's shaking his head. No.
Then no, I'm very pleased.
I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
Okay.
But again, I've never fought one, so this is exciting.
All right, so Griveth, what you got?
I got a 20. Not a natural.
Cantriel.
17.
Big.
It's a 10.
And Thorgarn.
Say Thorgarn?
Yeah.
19. Actually, rolled well on initiative. That never happens.
Ooh.
Drown.
Maybe it's a sign.
Drown has a 13, and I used a domain die.
All right. And then Talmud.
I got a 3.
Oh,
that's the normal dwarven initiative. You know, down there.
You know.
And then
Hello, deck.
This will be Cantriel. Never mind. Your dex is definitely going to be higher. Well, actually,
What?
What is your dex? What's your dex bonus?
+3.
You are not more dexterous than this.
Oh no!
Jake, I'm pretty sure it's not possible for us to be more dexterous than this.
Yeah, as I looked at it, I'm like, oh wait, never mind. So I'm gonna put that up above you. All right, so the order is gonna be Griveth is gonna go first. Followed by Thorgarn. The Storm. Cantriel. Drown. Big. And Talmud. So Griveth, as this storm is reeling ahead of you, the bulk of it appears to be roughly about 60 feet off the bow. And it does look very much, through the lightning and the forming of the darker parts of the clouds, like a gargantuan, multi-winged draconic serpent.
Okay, so as Griveth emerges from below decks and just sees that all hell is breaking loose, he's like, he's trying to holler over the din of the storm, and he's Victor.
You're yelling for Victor?
Yeah.
Right over your shoulder. What?
I've seen what this ship can do. If we combine all our magic powers, can we push it out of this storm?
That's not how it works.
Damn!
And while the two of you are yelling quite loudly, the gale force winds are high, and it's like you're basically just hearing what each other's saying.
Right.
So would you do you want to attack the storm, or are you going to do something else?
I'm going to do something else. So then I holler towards Cantriel. I said, Cantriel, do you need help on the wheel?
You're going to hold it?
I can, or I can help you.
If you can hold the wheel, I can do other things with spells.
I will. So I fight my way up on the deck and through the raging storm and grab hold of the wheel.
I need you to make a dexterity check if you're going to try to make it to the wheel.
Okay.
In this round.
I'm going to re-roll. Okay, much better. I got an 18.
Okay. It's a struggle, and you're kind of moving back and forth. At one point, you slide forward about 15 feet, slamming into the bottom of the stairs. You're sort of jostled towards the railing for a moment, but you make it up, and you are able to take the wheel from Cantriel. Go ahead and make a athletics check for me.
Okay. I don't know what my bonus is. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Okay, 17.
All right. You take hold of the wheel. There's a slight movement of the ship. It shudders a little bit as you take the wheel from Cantriel, and then you get hold of it and move into position. You now have control of the ship.
We're gonna get through this, Captain.
We damn well better. I just got this thing.
Thorgarn.
So I would imagine that, considering how high I rolled on initiative, which never happens, that Thorgarn was kind of expecting something like this with the storm brewing. So he was kind of at the rail and basically at the ready. And when this creature kind of appeared and began to begin to summon this thunderous energy, he looks down at Forgefane and he hasn't really gotten to try this yet. And he's a little skeptical, but he knows it's supposed to work. So he howls back at this raging storm. Using my bonus action to rage, I will lift Forge Fane, and I will throw it the 60 feet to the creature.
All right, make an attack.
So that's a natural 20.
That's a little. You sound almost underwhelmed. That's fantastic.
So when you throw Forge Fane, it does an extra die 8 damage. So that's 4 die 8, correct?
Yeah, you have the stats there, so that's an automatic 32 at least.
And I've got 2 8s on the dice. So 8, 16, 24, 29, 30, 36 for the first attack.
Wait, you said it was a crit, right?
Yeah.
So you automatically get max damage.
Oh, that's right.
Then you take the dice roll.
Sorry, I rolled four dice. My apologies.
What? So what you had 36 was the total with the dice and modifiers?
Yeah.
And then 32 on top of that for the 4d8.
Okay.
So that's
60. That can't math right.
That is right.
Okay.
You rolled 4d8, correct?
Yes.
So that would automatically be 32 points.
No. The attack should do 2 die 8 damage.
Oh, I see
He's
what
already
you're saying.
doubling it.
Right. So
All right.
All right, so it's 1632. Actually, it's one better for a total of 37.
Okay.
First hit.
Either way, it's still impressive because it's followed by those words for the first attack.
So Forge Fane reappears in my hand, and I throw it again. And that is only a 19 to hit.
Sorry, say again.
I have a 19 to hit.
That does hit.
Obviously, this is not a crit, so it's not going to be as impressive. That is 15 points of damage.
Okay. All right. So, that's going to be the storm's turn. And you feel, this storm made corporeal, it sort of takes a stronger corporeal form. The wind picks up even higher, and for the remainder of this, while the wind is blowing, your attacks will have disadvantage against this. I believe it's ranged attacks will have disadvantage against this. And it is going to... You see it glowing and surging with electrical energy, and bolts of lightning begin raining down from the clouds. And I need everybody to make dexterity saving throws.
Is anybody close enough to me for the bonus?
Right now, Cantriel's probably the only one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was.
She was the only one specified to be there at the
Right.
wheel.
That's
Right.
what? How many again? 3?
It's +3, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got a 19.
Let's see. All right, yeah, everybody call them out real quick. We got a 19.
15 for me. Oh, sorry.
All
I
right,
got an 18.
18. Thorgarn?
Scotty and I both got a 15.
Drown has a dirty 20 and used a domain die to get there.
Okay.
I got a 3.
That was a 3? Okay.
Good roll of the main die there.
Yeah, reroll.
Yeah, reroll.
Yeah,
You want to.
26 of them.
If you wanna.
I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna let it roll.
Oh.
Talmud, what'd you get?
I got an 18 total.
Okay. In addition to the damage, Talmud and or not Talmud, Thorgarn and Griveth will be stunned until the end of this creature's next turn. All of you except for Drown take. Oh, sorry, Fig, you're also stunned. All of you will take 14, 18, 22, 27 points of lightning damage. Except for Drown, who will take 14 points of lightning damage.
Thorgarn, actually.
I was just about to say that. I
Yeah.
will 27 points of lightning damage because Fig is my friend. I've had this thing for how many sessions, and I finally have taken lightning damage.
What's going on?
Yay!
It's
What's happening?
The transmuter stone that Fig created, she gave to Thorgarn like way long ago in season 2, and I've not taken a single point of lightning until now. That is awesome.
Okay, so that makes you resistant
to lightning damage.
Fantastic. That's more than like around 30 sessions or more since that's come into play.
Yep.
That's incredible. I love that.
Oh my God.
Is this considered dragon damage?
No.
Okay.
It
No,
was
it is
27.
No, any damage is because it's lightning, thunder. It's all elemental damage.
27 lightning.
27. Okay.
Yeah, 27. And you still, though, Thorgarn, are stunned.
Oof.
It is now. Oh. Okay. It is now Cantriel's turn.
All right. After seeing this fun little stunt, I'm going to. And you said ranged weapons are disadvantage, right?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to do Cloud of Daggers, 4th level. At this thing. So, basically, I'm getting pissed because this is my nice new shiny ship, and it's not getting so shiny or nice anymore because of this thing. And I will point at it, and my nails will get almost sharper in look. And this flash of light goes from each of the nails, and you see these dagger-like forms start going towards this creature. And I see.
What level are you casting it at? It's a 4th?
4th, so it's going to be
8d8
8d4.
or 8d4?
8d4. Okay, so it's going to be cube 5 feet, and I'm going to put it right in front of this thing, and it'll take the damage when it enters the spell area or start of its turn.
Takes when it enters the spell's area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there. Fantastic. As all of these daggers begin spinning through the air through the storm.
Bonus action?
Bonus action. Oh, that's right. I have that, don't I? I will. Who's next? Oh, yeah. Drown. Drown, you need to try and do something with this thing too, and that's your bardic inspiration.
Hooray!
Remember, it's valor, and it's a D. Is it a D8 now? Let me look. I think it's a D8.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are level 9, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep, it's a D8.
All right.
Okey-doke.
This creature is going to use a legendary action.
Oh no!
as it opens its mouth and the wind picks up to gale forces.
Son of a bitch.
I need... well, first off, let me grab some D10s here. 1, 2... Where are all my D10s?
I
There we
hate
go.
them.
Yeah, this will work. Let's see, 8, 9, 15, 19. The ship takes another 19 points of damage as with the wind, extreme thunder is just reeling from it. I need everybody to make dexterity saving throws.
How does that work for us stunned folk?
I
You
believe
fail.
You believe you automatically fail. So Fig, Griveth, and Thorgarn will fail.
And re-rolling a saving throw is just the normal 1 domain die.
Yeah, all re-rolls for you are single domain dice.
Okay, then I'm going to spend 1 to re-roll that 1. Followed by a 7 after. That's much better.
All right. Okay. What did everybody get?
19.
Brown?
23, but I burnt my bardic inspiration for it.
Okay. So Drown doesn't take any damage, and you you grab hold of the railing or a rope or something nearby, and you hold on. Talmud, you said you got a 19? All right,
Oh, wait, I'm still standing by Griveth, right?
Yeah, you're still
Okay, so I
next
didn't
to
have my 3 to
Griveth.
That
so
you are,
that's-
that you are,
that's
yes.
22 then for me.
Cantriel, you grab hold of the wheel that Griveth is holding on to. Your feet, you feel them begin to lift off in this powerful wind. Griveth, what'd you roll?
I didn't roll anything because I was stunned.
Oh, you failed. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Thorgarn, you failed, and Fig, you failed.
Yep.
This is very important because I know where Griveth is. Fig, where are you on the deck of the ship? You have the main deck center area, or you have the forecastle area. We've already determined that Cantriel and Griveth are the only ones on the quarter deck.
Okay. Then I would be in the forecastle? No. Area?
Up
No.
in the bow of the ship, up at the front.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
he would be that curious to yeah.
Okay. Where are you, Thorgarn?
I am, on the edge of the ship. So, because you said it was, 60 feet away.
So that would put you at the bow as well, because it was in order to be able to. Okay.
Right.
Talmud, where are you?
I don't know that he made it very far back up the stairs onto the deck. So he's probably wherever the stairs kind of empty up onto the main deck.
Thorgarn, Talmud, Fig, the three of you, this wind is so powerful. You are thrown backwards off of the forecastle, and Talmud thrown backwards. You go reeling across the deck. All of you end up slamming into the walls and doors by the quarter deck and where your laboratory is, Fig. And as you do so, you all take 9 and 13, 21 points of thunder damage, and you take 10, 16, 17, 18 points of bludgeoning damage as you slam into the walls. Cantriel, next to you, Griveth is blown so fiercely, he's stunned, and he is blown so fiercely. As you grab hold and your feet are lifting off, you watch as Griveth is lifted away from the stern of the ship. Griveth, we're going to do a classic MTD percentile check. That means I need you to roll a percentile die, and I'm also rolling a percentile die. There is a
witness me, Cantriel.
There is a 25% chance that you slam into the railing at the back of the ship. I have rolled my die. You need to roll within 12 or 13, essentially, of either side of this number.
Oh, lucky 13, huh? All right, I got a 16.
All right, let me do the numbers real quick since this is so critical. So, because if I roll on the high end of 100, it rolls back over. So, you rolled a 16. I rolled a 91. That's still going to put you outside. Cantriel, Griveth is thrown overboard. Griveth, you are launched 60 feet through the air.
Wait, was it? It was 25%?
Yes.
Isn't 91 to 16?
It's 13
25?
on either side of the number I roll. So when I use a sliding scale, and when I roll, it's the center point.
Got it.
Okay.
Caught up.
Yep. Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing, and I'm like, nope, that's going to be outside.
Do I get one last chance to grab the rail, or is that it?
You don't, because you were stunned. If you weren't stunned, you would have.
Gotcha.
So as of right now, Griveth has been blown overboard.
How far overboard did he go?
Well, let's see.
Oh, he was by the wheel, right?
He was by the wheel, so he is 45 feet behind the ship.
Okay. All right.
And I would say, because you managed to save yourself, Drown, you see this happen as you kind of watch from bow to stern as this wind moves, slams everybody past you, and as you see the others crashing into the front of the quarterdeck, you look up, see Cantriel just grabbing hold of the wheel, and Griveth just suddenly go flying overboard. And that was this Tempest using a legendary action.
That wasn't even its goddamn turn.
No. We haven't even been through the whole round yet.
We sure haven't.
Well, Drown.
Yeah.
It's your turn. It's your turn.
Cool. That's cool, man.
No pressure.
Kill it.
Hey, at least Griveth put all of his armor back on before going into the sea.
Yep.
Because, hey, crikey.
All right, Drown, what are you going to do?
So, all right. So he's going to snap out of being stunned eventually. Do I think he'll be able to keep himself afloat well enough to not drown?
You know that Griveth is a pretty athletic individual, and there's a good chance that he could. But you do know that he was also stunned by this creature.
That's the issue. Okay. The range on this is 300 feet. Good. Grand. We like that. Flood, part water. Nope. All right. I'm going to call out the Staff of the Seas. And I've got this cool thing I can do called Control the Tides. While holding the staff, I can use an action and expend one charge to mold the oceans themselves to your will. You can cease a current or create a current in the direction of your choice, up to a speed of 6 miles per hour. I can control the current in such a way that it can drive a ship forward, increasing its speed by the current. What I would like to do, I don't want to push the ship. I want to create a current that's going to grab Griveth and pull him up to the ship.
All right. And I will say, because of the nature of the storm and the sails are furled and is sort of at the mercy of the sea, that you will absolutely be able to do that.
All right.
What does that look like as you magically move the sea?
that staff, that gnarled driftwood staff, appears in his hand, but since it's being lashed by sea spray, by rain, it sprouts into brightly colored coral all along its length. He slams it into the ground, and there's a low bass that ripples through the ocean, and all of the waves just sort of stop for a second and then rush toward the ship, pulling Griveth up toward the hull.
So Griveth, still stunned, is brought along with the sea until he is brought right up against where the rudder is at the stern of the ship.
Well, I mean, that's what I got for now.
All right.
I'm going to move towards the stairs down to the lower deck.
You're moving to the lower deck?
Yeah, basically, I'm trying to get some cover.
Okay. So you're kind of just going into that stairwell kind of thing?
Yeah, just kind of going in the stairwell, ducking down behind the rim, and I'll bellow, "Man overboard, port side!"
All right.
It's my turn.
Fig.
Oh, sorry. One more possible thing. How far away is this creature from the ship?
It's 60 feet off the bow.
Hey, okay. Well, I don't have much for that. I guess as a bonus action, I will manifest one of those spectral tentacles of the lurker sort of nearby where I am.
Okay. Fig, you are stunned.
As Fig was thrown back and down off of the bow, you hear a sickening crack as he lands face first down on the deck. I assume it's like a deck below kind of thing, I think. Or he slams into something else, and you still hear this sickening crack, and you begin to see the blue energy begin to leak out all over the ship, kind of being washed away in tiny light blue rivulets down along the ship's planks, because Fig is down.
I just, as you were narrating that, I was like, oh crap, I didn't look at hit points. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So Fig, you will be making a death saving throw.
That's a 10.
That is a success. I know you hesitated because in Chult that we're on meat grinder mode, but here a 10 is a success.
Cool.
All right. Talmud, you are also stunned. You are incapacitated. No, you were not stunned. I take that back.
Yeah, I didn't think I was.
Nope, sorry, my mistake.
I took full damage, but
yeah, you took damage from that, but you are not stunned. So what would you like to do?
So is Griveth back? He's actually back on the deck?
No. He is in the water, banging up
Okay.
against the rudder. And actually, I would say you don't know that.
Okay, that's fair.
Because of where you were and everything.
Right. So I think when Talmud was thrown backwards, he actually didn't slam into the wall or the doors. He actually went part through like a window. So like there's like shattered glass, and he's like halfway like hanging through this small window with like this painted leaded glass. And he kind of has to like reach up and grab the door frame for stability, and also as leverage to kind of help pull himself up back out of this. And he's, cut on his arms and everything. And he's turning around. He's bleeding just from everywhere at this point. And he's kind of, and as he does so, the tattoos on his body start to glow and across up into his face, and then another dwarfen visage kind of twisted and contorted into this kind of maniacal glee at this situation. That's all you got? It's gonna take a lot more than that to take me down. He is going to run as far as he needs to with a 35-foot speed to get to that disintegration ray.
The disintegration ray is up on the back deck, on the stern of the ship. Go ahead and make a dex check to make it there.
Well, okay. I'm gonna spend a domain die to reroll that. Yeah, okay. What's 14?
It's rough going, but you do make it there.
Okay. So he runs up to this thing. He grabs a hold of this cannon, and in this twisted ancestor's true form, he grabs a hold of it and actually just like licks the length of the cannon, and then spins it around, just cackling, just and he points it at this cloud and is gonna let it rip.
All right, make a.
Actually, I'm gonna spend 5 domain dice for it.
You have to hit. You do have to hit first.
Oh, I do. Oh,
Well, then we
that's
roll
nice.
for the hit.
I think
That's
it
fair.
needs to make a saving throw if it works like a beholder eye.
Ooh, maybe.
Or do we have to make attack rolls with it?
Question mark?
You are
Cannon.
actually correct,
All right, cool.
because it is not just a reskinned beholder eye. It is an actual
Actually.
beholder eye.
So can I spend the 5 domain dice to do it?
It can't critically hit if it's a saving
You
throw.
can't critically hit on saving throws. However, it needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
Right.
And it's going to be, we'll see how this works out. I'm going to roll it. That is a 21.
Make him reroll.
Yep.
Reroll.
Reroll, please.
That is a 28.
Oh my god.
Freaking kidding me?
You have
Yeah.
122 domain dice.
Well, you're re-rolling.
Reroll it again.
Yeah, re-roll that.
We know it's more dexterous than Cantriel, so we know.
Oh.
That is.
Thank you so much, patrons of the channel.
Yes.
We're going to.
That is
I think this is going to go until you fail. So
a 12.
I'm okay with that.
And now
So-
he uses a legendary frigging resistance.
Oh, no.
No, I'm actually.
No?
No,
Oh.
I would have said that. I would have said that if I were gonna. I wouldn't make you spend domain dice for that.
I
This calls for more
expected
gummy
it.
bears. I'm
I
sorry.
expected it. Oh.
No, I made the decision for reasons that it's actually going to.
He is a benevolent dungeon
roll.
master.
But you do need to roll 10d8.
Beautiful.
oh,
And
well,
if-
roll well, Jeremy.
If your damage should reduce the target to 0 hit points, it
Huh.
will disintegrate.
Yeah, I don't think we're in danger of that. Am I the only one that's heard it so far?
Correct.
Yep. And it's put a strong hurting on all of you.
I'm more worried.
Yeah,
about
we
the
got
ship.
one person down. Most of us
Yeah.
are at least
Ship's
half
at
dead.
256.
Oh, the ship's gonna be fine. Yeah, we're gonna die before the ship sinks.
Oh, yeah. However, I did manage to clock 51 points.
Hell yes.
Ah,
Not enough to take it out, of
No,
course,
I didn't
but you, between the two dwarves, you have done 103 points of damage to it.
Wow.
yeah. Now I wish I would have taken Scotty's advice and used that super crit before I got stunned.
Griveth, unfortunately, you are still stunned because it is until the end of its turn. So right now, you're in this current that Drown has created. You have an awareness that salt water is filling your armor, filling your mouth and your eyes. But you feel yourself pulled up and banging up against the back end of the ship. You're trying to will yourself to move, but you cannot. Thorgarn, you were also stunned, correct?
Yep.
So you are lying useless.
I was thrown to the deck. I'm there.
So bad.
It is now
Its turn.
the storm's turn.
It's taking some dagger damage now.
Yeah,
Yes.
dagger
So
damage.
you have 8d4
Yes.
of dagger damage.
I have 4d4, so I have to roll twice, so bear with me.
Oh, well, no, I think we just heard it takes 84 points of damage.
Okay, sure, we can go that way. That's awesome. All right. Okay. So that is going to be 17 points.
All right. 120 points of damage it's taken. The ship is it's almost pointless to roll these d20s as the entity takes 2 thunderous slams against the ship.
Oh god.
Not my ship.
That is a 37 to hit, or 34, sorry.
Well, that hits our 15.
Yeah. Hello.
And a 28 to hit. So those are the beating the armor class. So the ship is going to take 6. Roll these all at once. 7, 8 plus 18. 8d6 plus 18. The ship takes 9, 12, 16, 17, 18, 22, 27, 37.
You can stop now.
46 points of damage. How much has it taken so far?
It's at 210.
It's taken 210?
No, it's at
it's at 2.
210.
I was going to say, I didn't think I did that much damage.
No! At. Crap.
And as it slams into the ship, a few things happen suddenly. The screaming wind all around you stops. The Evangeline is cresting a massive wave, but the wave never rolls over. The Evangeline is perched atop this wave. At the stern of the ship, as you are coming to, Griveth, a column of water lifts you up until you are deposited in a splash on the quarterdeck. Thorgarn, you come to. Fig, I would like you to make one more death saving throw.
One.
Oh no, that is a
Reroll.
critical failure.
Reroll.
That will cost you 8 domain dice to reroll.
They're there. They are
Yeah, use
so
them.
there.
Use them.
To re-roll?
To reroll a
Yeah.
critical failed death saving throw costs 8 domain dice.
Yeah, okay.
That's
I
gonna-
will.
Let me get the math right on this. So that's 120. So that puts you at 112. So do this. There we go.
Well, it's still a fail, but it's not a.
It's not
an
a
eight,
critical
but
fail.
It's not a critical fail.
Fig lies on the deck of the ship, magical blue energy leaking from his cracked face. Thorgarn begins to pull himself together. Talmud stands at the front of the quarterdeck at the top of the stairs, multiple lacerations, a wild look on his face, holding this beholder eye. The Tempest stands motionless. Out of the water at the bow of the ship emerges what appears to be a humanoid face, though it is easily 4 times the size of any of you. As you watch as a female giant emerges out of the water on a column of water. The water comes up to her waist as she stands at the bow of the ship, and it's just constantly in her hand. You see as lightning strikes and she pulls it into her hand. And then this lightning just seems to play across the surface of her hand, and she disperses it into the sky. The water spout moves closer and along the side of the ship as she looks down at all of you.
You have been tested by the storm.
Did we pass?
You have passed my test.
Who are you?
I am Thorgarn, quintessent of the storm giants. And you are the Dawnbringers.
Aye, that we are.
Word of your actions has already begun to travel through and across the sea.
So you've heard of us.
I think Talmud is still raging, and he's turned the beam on this giant.
God. Talmud, down, Talmud.
In response, Thorgarn reaches to her waist as if drawing a sword, and you watch as lightning emerges as she draws a massive lightning sword.
Rethink your action, dwarf. Perhaps you would best be served to tend to your companion, who dies at your feet.
So am I near Fig?
You can be. Well, actually, yeah, you are. I would say Fig is leaking. You're basically in a pool of fig juice. I could have worded that better, but
Yeah.
it's been said.
I will reach over, and I don't know if Cure Wounds does less on you.
Nope. Cure Wounds works.
That's not.
Or wait. Does Cure Wounds work on?
Warforged get healed by Cure Wounds just fine.
Yes.
So I use a first level slot. I heal you for 9.
And Fig is no longer dying.
I haven't gotten up yet. I just kind of like reached over and healed him. But I'm still lying down.
All All right. So Griveth has been deposited on the deck.
Yes, and is
Right.
sort of coughing and
Good.
sputtering as he is no longer stunned as well.
I think Talmud is preparing this eye stalk for another shot, and all of a sudden he like starts like twitching and like convulsing, and the face, the kind of spectral face that kind of overtakes his own visage, starts to kind of like be pulled in and out of his skin before finally like Talmud himself kind of reemerges. The glow is absorbed finally, and Talmud just screams out, "No!" And he just kind of like looks around. Oh. Oh, and he kind of looks at this towering giant next to the boat.
Her face leans in closer to yours, Talmud.
You are going to want to hold on to that anger for what you have to face. Everything you have faced up to this point, Dawnbringers, has just been the beginning. I am told the Lady Vantage has already told you of your fate, of the dark evils you have awoken in the east.
We travel east now.
That is why I wanted to test you.
I
Drow
put...
just
oh, go ahead.
Drow just sort of looks at the rest of them and like, what the fuck have you chuckleheads gotten into? And then back at the lightning conjuring giant.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Please continue.
What I have challenged you with today is but a taste of what awaits you in the east. Deal with the meddling vampire. Know this. The heart that is under his protection must be destroyed if you are to succeed. When the heart is destroyed, seek out the cloud giants to the north. They are the true enemies of Shadalan, and will, with some convincing, aid you in your quest. My purpose here was as an emissary of the giants, to see if you were even worth their trouble. I would go to them, and I would tell them that the Dawnbringers are coming.
She waves her hand, and lightning crackles and shoots out of it toward the elemental Elder Tempest. And as lightning it opens its mouth and it seems to devour the lightning, there's a tremendous peal of thunder. And the storm and the clouds, the heaviness of it dissipates. She raises a hand, and the wave that is holding the Evangeline aloft slowly settles down into the sea level. And a medium rain is all that is left of the storm. Thorgarn, the quintessence of the storm giants, begins moving away from the ship on her pillar of water. She points at all of you with her lightning sword and says, "Remember to destroy the heart. The cloud giants will be waiting for you." And she turns, and as she moves away, she just disappears below the surface of the water. The Dawnbringers, beaten, soaked, and haggard, are left floating on the sea as the crew, with the storm gone, begins to unfurl the sails. And they fill with wind, and you begin making way toward the east. Cantriel, you are standing at the wheel. Now no longer having to fight against the current or against the storm. The wind pushing your hair back as you, Captain Cantriel, steer the Dawnbringer, or steer the Evangeline and the Dawnbringers
Okay, sure.
towards your fate. Cantriel, I believe tradition says you will take us out.
Yes, so standing there, steering the ship, feeling the wind on my face, I'll take a deep breath and sort of survey the crew doing their various tasks and my companions, and suddenly get this sense of familiarity with the wheel in hand, steering the ship, and finally start getting a glimmer of confidence that maybe, just maybe, this captain thing might actually work out. And I'll start to hum. And it's a familiar tune to those who were at that dinner, but it's actually sort of picked up tempo a little bit, and it's shifted in its tone. And I'll pause for a minute, and then I'll start singing at the top of my lungs with a smirk on my face, enjoying the moment of some normalcy. I'll sing you a tale of a fight to come, a fight beyond these shores, in a forest deep where magic seeps throughout its old lore. In the cloak of night under starlight, we'll strike without a sound and prove to be like family, here to stand our ground. The Gothias tree, it proves to be the start of their demise, for it is we who truly seek to change the course of tides. Forget cursed blood and history, we will try once more, and so we mean to right wrong deeds, to cease what came before. And there'll just be a big grin on my face as I steer the ship towards the east, true to course, and looking over my shoulder every so often to Victor, kind of like, is this how I'm supposed to do it?
And the camera sort of pans away with that wide, high angle as the ship sails on towards the east. And all of the Dawnbringers are now level 10.
Talmud rushes to the gunnel to upheave. It's like beautiful, serene shot. That's where like saying
On brand.
And thus ends season 3 of the Dawnbringers Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And thank you once again, V, for that beautiful song, as what has become a tradition of Cantriel providing the end credits song for the season. Yes, you are all now leveling up to level 10.
Woo.
And we'll go ahead once we get off stream here. If you want to roll your hit points, you can either take the average or you can choose to roll. We'll do that on off stream, but while we're together. And then for all of you watching, thank you, of course. The next couple weeks, originally, I was thinking we were going to take a little bit longer hiatus, but in these times of looking for streaming entertainment, I don't think we will be gone as long. We are going to take at least 1 week of a break. And we are also, that is a week where we will not be streaming. And then we are going to have a week where our own Jeremy is going to run us through a special one-shot of Harbinger, which is a system, a sci-fi system created by Absolute Tabletop. I have run a mini campaign in which M was a player back, oh man, like 2 years ago, I think, called the Bastards of Bastion. Harbinger is still in playtest, but I believe either later this year or early next year they are planning to take it to Kickstarter as a fully fledged system. I've played a lot in it. I know M and Jeremy have as well. This is a fantastic system that lends itself well to cosmic horror, and it's just a fun system to play in. So I think we're gonna have a blast. So you want to be sure to stay tuned on it. We're going to work that out amongst ourselves when we're going to run that game, when we're going to take a break. I'm also going to run a one-shot before we bring up Season 4. And that one-shot, the players are now hearing for the first time, is going to be set in Wildmount.
Ooh,
I'm going to run one of the adventures from the new Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, which means we're probably going to do this in about 3 weeks, I'm thinking. That'll give you guys some time to figure out what kind of characters you want to play in all new characters in a Wildmount one-shot. I'll give you some more details on that. So you're definitely going to want to stick around on Thursdays, because then after that, we're going to come back with Season 4 of the Dawnbringers, the heart of Nightfang's Spire, as they head back to the Sword Coast in Faerun. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. I know we got a couple subscriptions. We are just 9 subscriptions away from unlocking a new emote. We are 180 followers away from hitting 1,000 followers on the channel. So thank you to everybody who's following and subscribing. It's amazing. We love all of the support you show for the channel as a whole and for this particular stream. Be sure to stay tuned and watch out for Jasper's Game Day and Jasper's Game Week announcements. We are going to have a ton of gaming. We are going to have a ton of prizes, and ultimately we are going to try to beat last year's nearly $6,000 fundraising goal. We're going to try to beat that this year with some legendary gaming in the first week of May. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow night, you're going to want to tune into the Nerdarchy YouTube channel, where V and I are playing the Tabaxi and the Tortle alongside Megan and Asa under the DMing Wiles of Ted in the RPG Crate sponsored game. Saturday, I don't know the time yet, so it'll be a surprise. But sometime on Saturday, I'm going to run about a 2 or so hour live crafting over on the Mini Terrain Domain YouTube channel. Sunday night, we've got our Cholt of Personality. Monday, hopefully, we're returning for our All That Glitters Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign. Tuesday is our Legends and Legacies Tales of Phandelver campaign. And I don't remember. Is it next Wednesday, Jeremy?
No, April 1st.
Okay.
Whispers and Fragments.
So not next Wednesday, but yeah, April 1st, we are in our Whispers and Fragments over on Erasmus Expeditions. I think I covered all of the games. On Alt Tuesdays, when you're not here watching Legends and Legacies, definitely check out Curse of Strahd on the Dice on Ice RPG. And I know it's really weird for me to promote this because it runs at the same time as one of our games. But V is got a game going on over on Kobold's Press's channel that she DMs. Tell us a little bit about that and your other podcast that you're a part of.
All the things.
Sure.
So Sunday evenings on the Kobold Twitch channel, Kobold Press Twitch channel, I should say, at 8 p.m. ish, there and about. I run a game that takes place in the Old Margrave Force of Midgard, and it is based off Tales of the Old Margrave. It is a little bit of a homebrew, a little bit of pulling from the book itself. And right now, my players have a vampire Alcide in their possession, and they have to stop some other bad things from happening at the Dead Druid run. So come and join us this Sunday and see what they decide to do with this, because, yeah, this is fun. And, Baba Yaga, she might make an appearance. It happens. The other project is a podcast. It's called Dark Fortunes, and that is a Humblewood setting where I am one of the players, along with some other fantastic players. If you haven't heard of it before, do be sure to check out information on it. It is a wonderful setting, and it's got a piratey theme, and I'm also a captain of that ship in that game. So,
and that is
the captain.
And that is produced by our friend Mike over at Unmade Gaming.
Yep.
That is helming that project. So.
Yep, and you can find us over on, it's like Spreaker. I always call it that. But you can also find us where other podcasts are available.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So there's definitely a ton of great stuff as you're looking, whether you watch live, you watch VODs, you watch the podcast, listen to them, whatever. Tons of great stuff happening all over the internet to keep us busy in this time of social distancing and self-isolation and whatnot. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing some mini painting on Saturday. I've got another set of
yeah, don't forget to wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Yes, wash your hands. I've got a set
Wash your
of
hands.
Icons of the Realm, spell effects, mighty conjurations that I'm going to be
Those
remixing.
are fun. They make good crowns.
Well, that's the spell effects that I've already done it's for a new upcoming series, a mini terrain domain YouTube called Review and Remix, where I'll be reviewing the boxes from WizKids and then remixing them with my own paint jobs. So the only thing left to do is, of course, to say a huge, tremendous thank you to Scotty, V, M, Ted, Dan, and Jeremy, without whom this is just me talking to myself for 3 hours.
I think we all need to get to give a thank you to you. This
Yeah.
has been going on for a while, and you continue to put out excellent games. So,
well, thank you.
Jake's okay.
I think you had us all stressed tonight.
Well, just in case you were wondering, so both of the creatures that I threw at you were from the Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. You faced a CR-23 Elder Tempest. And no, I obviously didn't intend for it. They asked me in the side chat if it was beatable, and I said shrug. I got all caps from V on that one.
Jake!
She went totally opera geek on me with that. And then yes, that was a Storm Giant Quintessent. So yeah, they're brutal. Both of them are very brutal. And thank you to Dan for being very true, who privately messaged me and said, "Hey, you're forgetting a couple of things."
Sorry guys.
It's a very powerful creature with a lot of options.
It's got a lot going on.
And my intention was not to use it at its full force, but holy crap. Are these things intense? So yeah, we're going to go ahead and say goodnight. We hope to see you on the other streams and everywhere else. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Always, when in doubt, wash your hands.
Sing the song I sang before.
Yes. Go back, watch the song, sing the song while you wash your hands. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
There's hello.
There's hello.